Hello everyone, welcome to the English Club. I'm your host Shirihan, and each week I'll be talking with the different guests on all sorts of topics: science, politics, movies, music, anything really. We'll be talking in English for 15 minutes so that you would learn how to use certain words and expressions. It will also immensely help your listening skills. So, if you are a student of English and a lover of English, this show is for you. Welcome to the English Club. Hello, everyone. Today I'd like to talk to you guys about how you can review a film that you recently, have seen. There are two ways to review a film that you saw either on television, internet, or in the cinema. It depends on who is the person you're talking to. So, are you talking to someone who saw this film? Or are you talking to someone who has never seen this film? So you also have to explain or give more details about the film. Okay, so I'm gonna try to help you with the language that you need in both cases. And we're gonna use one of the recent films that came out last year, and it was very successful. It's a film by Christopher Nolan, and it's called Tenet. For those who know Christopher Nolan, he is a very famous director and filmmaker. He has made films like Inception, Interstellar, and of course the Batman trilogy, The Dark Knight. We call them trilogy because the story was completed after 3 films: Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Rises. Similar to Lord of the Rings trilogy, The Hobbit trilogy, and so on. So Christopher Nolan is really a filmmaker that I'm fascinated by because his topics or his choice of themes is always very unique. The way he uses science fiction or sci-fi is always something very, very different from other filmmakers. So he definitely is a special one, and he definitely, or his films definitely stand out from his competitors. So getting back to Tenet, we're gonna talk about Tenet as if the person listening to you is someone who already has seen Tenet. So Tenet is the science fiction movie that was released last summer, actually in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic. So it was very challenging for movie theaters or for the production company to deal with that situation. And we're going to talk about that in a bit. So why did I say the film was released last summer? Why did I use this particular grammar, was released? Okay, first of all, I didn't say the name of the production company that released it, that gave it out to the cinemas, that allowed the audience to go and see it. So I didn't focus on the production company. I focused on the event, which is releasing the film, because this is the most important piece of information in that case. I used something we called the passive in the past because releasing the film was over. So I said the film was released last year, summer, particularly 2020. So the film stars John David Washington, son of Denzel Washington, and Robert Pattinson. Both of them play these super CIA agents who get a mission recruited by someone they don't know to save the world. But what is the danger facing the world in the film? It's very different from particular or stereotype dangers that we see in action or sci-fi films. Normally, the main lead or the star of the film has to save the world from World War III, or some sort of virus taking over the world, like maybe the coronavirus, or some supervillain who's gonna burn down planet Earth or whatever. But in this film, the lead of the story, or what we call the protagonist, we don't even have a name for him. They just call him the protagonist, and we call the protagonist for the main person in a story, the person that has the focus and has the most events happening along with him or her. So the protagonist with the help of Robert Pattinson's character, has to save the world from the future. Okay, the theme of the film, or the plot of the film, is very complicated. I don't think anyone really fully understands the plot of Tenet, but it discusses the possibility of being able to reverse time, to see the end of something, or to experience the end of something before the beginning. Okay, and we see that in different scenes of the film where John David Washington's character shoots the bullet, for example, but it comes back to the gun before he actually shoots it, before he actually aims for the wall or whatever. It's all very fascinating graphics or computer CGI things done by Christopher Nolan. You see also fights happening in reverse. You see people talking in reverse, car chases, and all that. So it delivers the thrill of an action film. And it delivers it with this new taste of seeing everything happening in reverse. It's almost like you are playing the film from the end and up until the beginning. So the film talks about time inversion, or the possibility that some people in the future were able to scientifically do it, invert time, allow us, like I told you guys, to experience the end before the beginning. So this is briefly explaining the plot. It's preferable to use the word plot instead of story when you talk about films or TV shows or anything that is cinematic, not real in a sense, like simulation of life, but it's not real life. And allow me to give you my opinion of this film. First of all, the film has made quite a lot of money in the box office, so it wasn't a failure, it wasn't a flop. But because, of course, of the pandemic and the coronavirus, many people were afraid to go out to the cinema and see the film. This is why it didn't make as much money as it should be, or as much money as previous Christopher Nolan films. So it was very challenging for the film to remain a box office success or a box office hit in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic. So it didn't make as much money as, for example, let's say Avengers Endgame. In 2019, Avengers Endgame came out, and it was a blockbuster. Immediate hit. It made billions of dollars across the world. So this is a movie that we call a blockbuster. So definitely it was not a blockbuster in a sense, but it was very enjoyable. I recommend to those who haven't seen the film to go and check it out. Like, it's probably now available on the internet. Try to watch it more than once to understand the plot, or to try to appreciate the little details. Like I told you, the fight scenes, the car chases, even like the rhythm of the film or the order of the film is very interesting. John David Washington and Robert Pattinson made very good pair in the film. They were friends. They were working together against this unknown threat from the future that is inverting time. And they had what we call a bromance. So a bromance is a term that came out recently. If two male characters in a film or in a story sort of becoming very good friends or loving each other very nicely as friends. So definitely John David and Robert had what we call a bromance. Okay, they were very nice together, charismatic. It was actually some little funny bits in the middle when they were planning their missions and so on, and they really cared for each other, and they seemed to have enjoyed filming the film even as the real persons, not just as their on-screen characters. The villain in the film, or the bad guy in the film, because yes, the bad guy here is time inversion, the concept of inverted time, but we had to see a bad guy. We had to hate him. We had to wish that he was dead. So the bad guy was played by Kenneth Branagh. He's a British actor, one of Christopher Nolan's favorites to cast in, like he casted him in like previous movies in the past, like Dunkirk and all that. He played a British-Russian supervillain who like kind of controls the concept of time inversion, or kind of introduced it to our modern times, and he's planning to end the world by deleting its past. When you remove something's past, like it doesn't exist anymore, it won't have a future. So that was his master plan. Spoiler alert, though. And I think Kenneth did a wonderful job. I think he was hated, ruthless. He didn't have mercy. You see him how he mistreats his wife in the film, and how he threatens everyone, and how he doesn't care and whatever. And then you get to know the story behind him, so it's a little bit humanized, the fact that he was dying, and the fact that he was like losing the battle against cancer, so he didn't care anymore. Like, if I'm gonna die, then everything is gonna die with me, then all humanity is gonna die with me. So that was a little bit the motive behind his grand evil plan. So I guess when you talk about the film, like I told you, it depends on if other people has seen it or not. It's very difficult to explain the plot. Like, I have been trying in this recording, but I'm not sure that I succeeded explaining the plot to you guys. But what I can tell you is that the film is very interesting, very thrilling. It's very different also, because we have seen a lot of movies about time travel and visiting the future or whatever, but this offers something very fresh. And it's Christopher Nolan, so it's going to be exciting. You're not going to understand like it fully. Definitely Tenet is one of his most confusing films, if we have to compare it to Inception or Interstellar, or these films that had also played with the concept of time, because it seems like Christopher Nolan is fascinated or even obsessed with the concept of time, and how or if we can control it or reverse it. But definitely you should see it, even if you don't fully understand it. Don't get frustrated by it. Don't feel that you're stupid or whatever. I don't think everyone has gotten the idea, even like the cast of Tenet. It's very important to mention your opinion of the film, or analyzing the elements of the film, the acting or the performance of actors. We already talked about John David's character, the protagonist, and Robert's his helper or his sidekick in a way, and the bromance between them. We have talked about the acting of the villain or the bad guy in this plot or this film. Also, it's important to talk about the director, the graphics, the thrilling action scenes, because this is mainly an action sci-fi. So there are a lot of action sequences. It's very important to say if you have enjoyed it or not, if it was well made or not, in your opinion, exciting or not. The general plot, of course, has to be explained when you talk about a film or when you are giving your opinion. And there are something called plot holes. Like if something doesn't make sense or doesn't add up to the rest of the plot, then you have to point it out to someone if you are telling them your opinion or giving a review about the film. So make sure to point out any plot holes that you have seen in Tenet to anyone who is listening to you, or anyone who wants to know your opinion about it. It's important also to start with the positive things, or the things you liked about the film. Like I told you, try to analyze the different elements, try to get into details, not just giving like a general opinion. Oh, it was good. Oh, it was fantastic. No, you're not helping anyone by not giving details. You have to be very detailed so that that person would either be encouraged to go see the film, or actually discouraged, and they wouldn't even consider seeing the film. And then you go to the negative aspects, or the things you didn't like. Like I told you, point out any plot holes in the plot. If there were scenes that were poorly executed, like the action sequence wasn't good enough, it was the CGI or the graphics weren't advanced, or it seemed fake, for example. If the actors are not good in the action sequences, they're not good in the fight scenes or whatever. Also, I don't know, whatever you can criticize, like their clothes, their outfits, their wardrobe choices, the dialogue itself. If some words or some things they said seemed like cliche or too boring, if the film was too long, for example, which is maybe it's something that we can point against Tenet. It was like over 2 hours or 2.5 hours. That's basically it. So remember, next time you review a film, you have to keep it organized. You have to analyze all the elements of the film, and you have to give the listener the main information or the most important information about the film in order to help them learn more about it before they see it. Or if they saw it, you could actually help them understand things that they did not understand when they were watching it. Or maybe you would encourage them to go and rewatch the movie, try to appreciate it more. So that was my review on Tenet. I hope it helped you with the language you need to review films in general. In the comments, you can do something similar by briefly reviewing a film or a TV show that you saw recently, trying to follow the same technique or the same system I just told you guys about. And I hope this was fun and educational. See you next time.